bus surfing. So what it is here, in case you haven't seen subsurfing, it's all about the stance, right? That some of these fine folks on. Let's watch the faces as they go by. Viewer. I don't even want to look at that stuff anymore. Sometimes I just wish I could disappear into the sky or be swallowed into the air. Thank God for forests, man, in Toronto, and hiking trails and whatnot. You'll be surprised to learn, maybe not, with Torontonian, that there's kind of hiking in the city that makes you feel like you're miles away in the mountains, miles away. I'm talking about like 10 miles at least. 5 minutes off of Steeles in Dufferin where I'm going to be living. You're like in the middle of nowhere, man. Nowhere. Like bushes and trees and river winding through the place, bridges everywhere. It's going for hours, man. Civilization is highly overrated, if you ask me. If you ask me, the ancient Athenians were way more civilized than us. If you ask me, the Muslims, at the height of their Islamic empire and whatnot, far more civilized than us. See, civilization is to do with civility. Civilization is not to do with freaking technological progress. Give me a caveman with manners and a goddamn stick any day over one of these corporate bigwigs who likes to essentially suck the life out of his so-called team.
Next stop, Large Boulevard.
Mentoring. It's not mentoring, my dear viewer. I should make not realize. It's more like a game of mental manipulation. How can we keep this guy in his cubicle for 40 years without him realizing that there's a world out there slaving away so that he can make that bottom line of hers look ever so slightly better? That's all it's about. That's all it is. If anyone says that they feel like they're a family at work, then that means that the mental mind game is in full effect. Because that very guy might be let off tomorrow. I don't even care if you're a CEO. Heck, man, Steve Jobs was fired from his own fucking company. What's up with that? His own company. And he comes back and saves the damn thing too. Anyway.
Next stop,
subsurfing, or bus surfing. So you got the stance, right? Obviously, skater, surfer, snowboard stance. Now here's the thing, you're not allowed to move. It's quite obvious that that should be the case, right? And since I said obvious twice in the last minute, I might as well throw it in that third time and follow up with these cursory remarks. When traveling on the Toronto transit system, be very careful about how you use your transfers. And don't leave home without change for an extra fare or two. Because you might get off a bus and get on the wrong bus, and the guy, instead of smiling and nodding like this fellow, kind of grimaces and says, no. As in, that transfer is no good here, buddy. At that point, you've got two options. Either to dig out your change or beg and plead with the guy, or walk. 3 options. Or sit down there and wait for something interesting to happen, etc. However, it's not like other cities where the transfer is valid in any direction for a given amount of time. It's a situation where you can get on the bus and go in a given direction and then go laterally, as I would refer to it, which means you are going north. You can get off and use that transfer to go either east or west, or actually board another form of transportation in the sense of a streetcar versus a subway car versus a bus, right?
Next stop,
Does that make sense here?
Hill Drive.
I wonder why I'm ranting about the transit system here. It's because it's one of the finest. Apparently, based on the size of Toronto, what these guys do is well nigh impossible, which actually it's actually kind of tough for some of these folks. They're working long hours and all this kind of rubbish. But hey, listen, man, better than twiddling your thumbs in the bread line or whatever, right? Anyhow, so it's pretty straightforward, as you can see now. It's such an incredible sport. The thing is, I'll call it a sport. I want this to be a sport. I do this. People watch me. I used to talk about it. I don't really talk about it anymore. The reason I mention it today is because the bus driver kind of asked her what have you. He was concerned. He's doing a great job, man. He saw me kind of flailing about back here, and he's like, hey, listen, man, you want to settle down, or just make sure you don't fall down or disrupt the surface in any other way, kind of thing. Anyhow, so you got your stance. You can't move. Now, here's the thing. If you move, you can be penalized by points, obviously. In my own interpretation of this strange and sadistic, semi-sadistic ritual called bus surfing, if you move your stance, like if you're standing here, viewer, and then you got to like go for balance. So there's some question as to whether you're allowed to do this, move your feet this way and that way, back and forward, because you're not altering your center of gravity. I would say that's wrong. Like your feet are planted, they're planted. You better make believe they're stuck to the board or the bus, like with binders, right? Binders. But however, if you have to move laterally, then that's it, game over. Now, the penalty is that you have got to switch stance, which may be a good or bad thing. Because obviously, as you may or may not know, but have probably surmised, if you have any degree of intelligence, just like you've got left-handed and right-handed people, you've got so-called goofy foot and regular foot. So you bite the bullet, man. You bite the goddamn bullet. First of all, you get maximum points for not moving at all that way, right? Now, if you do, you got to change stance, which may be good. You may be goofy foot, and then you're going back to regular, which is better for you. However, once again, you lose out on time. So we're just coming around down the way here on Don Mills. The thing is, like, it's an incredible sport for so many reasons. A lot of it's to do with, for instance, on bus surfing, the personality of the bus driver, man. Does he have a heavy foot? Does he take the turn sharp? You know, some of these folks are like driving these goddamn things like Grand Prix things. Grand Prix buses, I would say, I guess. And then some of these folks are like gentle, like old grandma, but you know, generally they're a bit fast because of the schedules. You know, like how do they stop? How do they start? Like this guy's really smooth. He slows to a stop, and he pulls out of it slowly. He's not smacking it around like a deadbeat dad or something. So anyway, I'll be quiet and then let you enjoy the view for a few minutes. If you've got any questions, you know what to do with it, right?
Next stop,
A certain place where there's no
29A
light
Don Mills
and the
Road.
atmospheric pressure is slightly less than that of the general outside environment. What you need to do is write that question down, submit it to aforementioned orifice, and see how that goes, man. Or send me a line. I'd love to hear from you. All right? Take it easy. Surf surfing, Toronto, TTC, etc., etc., etc.